Welcome back to Barnes & Music. My name is Barney. I'm a classical composer and founder and director of Barnes & Music. In this new series, Musical Ear Training for the General Public, we're going to share with you how to appreciate music more by being able to hear music more from a scientific perspective. That means from a physical, acoustical perspective. We do not expect that you have any training in music, though that's always helpful. However, we do hope that there is at minimum some kind of interest in learning about music or about learning. That was an excerpt from Help Is on the Way for Orchestra. It's my first orchestral work. Super excited. It is now available for purchase on the market. Sadly, I only have a piano to show you, so you really have to use your imagination. It sounds awesome. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let me play the very opening. And on top, we have something called a melody. Okay. I've talked about that in many other episodes, so I won't do too much detail today. And underneath, we could say is a harmony. Okay. And I've talked about that in our Harmony for the General Public series. Now, if you listen beneath the surface, and more bolder, or even bolder than that, if we had a live orchestra, what I would now do is I would point out the bassoons. The bassoons are like a double reed instrument. Love the bassoon. Do you hear that sound? Again, you have to imagine I have real instruments. Okay? This is the sound of a perfect fifth. Now, why is it called it doesn't matter. Okay, doesn't matter why it's called. It's the sound where we want your ear to start recognizing. So we have a chord. And buried in this chord is a certain sound that I would say as an interval, I almost want to say it's the foundation for all great music. But I do not want to get sued and slapped for saying something so egregiously generalized. But listen, there's truth behind that. Now, if we look at the strings, and you'll see in the score I have just cello and viola because I want to wait to bring in the violins. That's a little musical tip is composers don't give it all up at once. We always have little things we want to goad you into getting excited for it. So it starts off with the cellos and the violas. Okay, and again, if I had a live orchestra, you'd hear the difference. But for you, it probably just sounds like, oh, it's the same chord. I know, but we need a live orchestra. Violas are doing this. Okay, but that's not the perfect fifth. Okay, here are the cellos. Do you hear the fundamental difference in quality between these two? So we have the violas. Yes, you could say they're also higher. There are technical differences, but what I want you to hear is the sound. What is that sound? It's kind of like in French we'd say c'est doux, okay, kind of softer, calmer sound, but do you hear that sound? By the way, I'm currently looking for orchestras to perform the world premiere of Help Is On The Way for Orchestra, my first orchestral work, either the first movement or all movements. I'm looking for both professional orchestras as well as kind of amateur level or, college level, student level, everything in between. I think the music is extraordinary. I will leave information on the website if you are in touch with an orchestra, if you're part of an orchestra, how to get in touch with me for that. Let's get back to the Perfect Fifth. Okay, so we talked about the bassoons, and we talked about the cellos. Okay, they're playing the same notes. It's called the Perfect Fifth. One thing to keep in mind is with a live orchestra, you would hear a very distinct difference between the two. So for the cellos, there's going to be something kind of wooden and hollow to them, okay, in this register. Okay, and they're also divisi, which means half are doing the top note and half are doing the bottom note. Okay, it's going to be kind of like this, almost going to feel almost imbalanced, almost. And the bassoons are also going to be hollow here too, but in a different manner. Again, you got to hear it live to really know what I'm talking about. Let's look at the trombones. And before we talk about the perfect fifth and the trombones, what I want you to hopefully realize, though officially this is ear training, what I'm actually demonstrating to you is orchestration. Because you notice we have the same chord, but it sounds a little bit different for each group. We have the strings, we have the violas, we have the cellos, we have just the bassoons. Okay, you see, so all the instruments are contributing to the whole. So let's look at the trombones. If you listen to the outer trombones, because you'll see in the score, we have 3 trombones, the low, medium, and high. But if I take out the middle trombone, take that out. Oh my God, what is this interval? Okay, do you hear the sound quality of this interval? Okay, let me play a little bit onward. And notice the chord changes. Listen carefully. The opening is this. Do you hear a change? Maybe it's hard to hear on the recording, but listen to the first one, the first chord. Okay, rather thick. A little bit muddy, right? And it's going to feel like that when you hear it live for orchestra. It's going to feel like it's like you're moving forward, but in mud. So you want to keep a regular pace, but it's mud, so there's always that resistance. Versus, go back to A. Second one. The second one is clearer, okay? Listen to it. And what makes it clear? Let's look at the score. We have cellos and violas. And cellos are on the perfect fifth still. Okay. Listen to the bassoons. They're still on that perfect fifth, okay? So do you notice that clear, calm quality of the perfect fifth? Finally, I'd like us to look at the trombones. So originally the trombones were doing this. And we pointed out there is a perfect fifth present. Okay, except the middle trombone adds a note. Okay, and if you're having trouble to hear this, just stick with it. I think it's probably because it's not live. Okay, it's not live and we don't have a full orchestra. If we had the real orchestra and if this is live, there are actual vibrations, physical acoustical vibrations where you would hear it. You'd feel it actually before you even hear it. Or I don't know which is the word. So trombones were doing this. And we pointed out the perfect fifth. But listen onward. We take out this middle note. And we end up with the trombones just on the perfect fifth. Now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to play this passage with the melody on top. I'm going to ask you to try to listen for the perfect fifth. A quick disclaimer, it is probably going to be impossible because one of the disadvantages we have of a piano is that the sound of a piano decays, right? Listen. 4 seconds in, you can barely hear the notes. Now, with an orchestra, that won't be the case. Though, if you look at the score, I do have a decrescendo, meaning the orchestra starts loud and then naturally gets soft. So it's kind of like imitating the natural tendency of a piano anyway. But from there, the volume remains present. On a piano, we lose the sound, okay? Why was I talking about that? Oh yeah, okay. So I'm going to play the opening. And I want you to try to listen for the perfect fifths buried underneath. Listen for the change at measure 3 that I pointed out, where it's just a perfect fifth on the bottom. There's no more of the other note. But don't feel bad if you can't hear it, because it's much easier if we have it live. Okay? One last time. Were you able to hear the perfect fifths? Maybe a little bit, but hopefully this is a good beginner. And then the next episode, on peut approfondir, as they say in French, which means we can deepen our skill set. Have a great day.